Coming up here on Off the Bench, we're going to talk to Ross Dellinger from Sports Illustrated College Football Latest. We'll ask Dellinger on his thoughts on Justin Fields, the Ohio State quarterback, starting a petition yesterday with the goal of getting 300,000 signatures. As we said, he put it out yesterday evening, really, and up to this point, he's got 218,000 signatures as we speak, real time here. I have signed it. We put it out to the group. They say they'll sign it. We're going to tweet the link out here from the OTB ESPN Twitter account if you want to sign it. But it is Justin Fields urging the Big Ten, as he tweeted out. This is a cause that is close to his heart, urging people to sign the petition. The campaign is asking the Big Ten to allow its players and teams to make their own choices as to whether they wish to play or opt out of this fall season. We're going to talk to an administrator from local here at LSU, Verge Osbury, who's the Deputy Director of Athletics, in about 12 minutes here on Off the Bench. We'll ask him his thoughts just on the student-athlete urging administrators to get onto the field. But around the SEC, the big news today is going to be the schedule announcement that happens 2 o'clock this afternoon. They will announce week 1, and then at 6 o'clock this evening on the SEC network, both announcements will happen and originate from the SEC network. They will announce the 10-game regular season for all 14 teams. I don't know. What do you anticipate? We've got some inside information from Ben Mintz that we're relying on.
I want to be clear that he wanted me to. I don't even know if he wanted me to say anything, but whatever. But the point is that, like, take it with a grain of salt. Nothing is guaranteed, and I've been doing this job long enough where, like, some of the most surefire things that I imagined and that made so much sense and there was so much smoke around end up being not true. But there is an idea out there. There are rumors that that week 1 could be a little more exciting than we're thinking, and that maybe just because of the kind of unknown nature of the season, that maybe they try to get some of those rivalries in early week 1.
Makes a lot of sense. I mean, really, if you think about it and you say it out loud and you look
We're talking about the Egg Bowl, by the way. Sorry, just throw this in there real quick. There are rumors swirling that you could get Kiffin, Leach, Egg Bowl to kick off the season, which would be fantastic.
And I think it makes a ton of sense when you just look at the fragile nature of the decisions in the news right now and just how fluid situations are. And you know that the probability today, the probability of ending the season feels a little far-fetched. Just by the temperature of the news.
For me personally,
so I'm just saying. Yeah. But I'm just saying, if you're outlining a schedule and you're trying to get the best games in early, yes, that would make sense.
Yeah, absolutely through that lens. Because I mean, yeah, like I said, I'm trying to be very present. I'm trying not to think too far into the future and just kind of deal with things as they come. Certainly, when you look at all the pictures, I mean, we are at the crossroads, the pivotal moment for college football, as we talked about. When you look at all the pictures of students on and around campus and what may or may not be going on, whatever, your brain can go to, like, kind of doom and gloom places, but I don't know what's going to happen. I'm hoping for the best. But the college kids are back. And you think LSU, I think, officially opens next week. You have Southeastern, UL, other schools opening today. Over 200,000 students in that public Louisiana campus system. Out of that 200,000, they say about a third will be taking classes online. Another third will be taking some classes online. The other third will be more normal. And look, and the schools are trying. You got masks required. They're taping off desks in between so you can't sit next to each other. Like stickers on the ground, social distancing, movable plexiglass, all this kinds of stuff, sanitizing classes. Ultimately, though, Jordy, I think this is just going to be – I kind of go back to what Sean Payton told the Saints, where this is a test in being a professional. It's a test of maturity. This is a test of handling your business. And while it makes a lot more sense, or maybe you have like a better hope for a NFL player to handle this test better than a college player would, the college player's consequences are no different. Ultimately, the players have to decide that they're not going to engage in, like, going to bars and stuff, and if they do, then practice and everything else can continue. But we'll see where this all ends up.
Everybody see the tweets coming out of Tuscaloosa yesterday? Cecil Hurt, who covers Alabama and has covered the Alabama football program for a long time, was tweeting out pictures, and then Greg Byrne, who's the athletics director over in Tuscaloosa, took that picture and tweeted it. It looks like it's from campus. It's obviously from campus, and it's students and parents as it's move-in weekend in Tuscaloosa. So everybody was kind of moving around campus, and there's people on top of each other, and there's not a lot of people wearing masks, and the internet just melted from there. But Greg Byrne tweeted out, who wants college sports this fall, with the emojis of a football, soccer, cross-country, volleyball,
nice
and
emoji
track.
work
Yeah,
from
I thought so too.
AD Greg
I thought so
Byrne.
too. Obviously not these people with a hand to the head emoji.
A little face palm.
We got to do better than this for each other in our campus community. Please wear your masks with the mask emoji.
Hey, look, is that a teen or is that
my
Greg Byrne?
My man is dialed in.
One day they're gonna look back and they're gonna be like, the people of the 2000s used to use a system of hieroglyphics in which they would get across messages. Look, this is not unique to Alabama. There's pictures all over the place. It's why we talked about the last couple of weeks. This is the crossroads. This is the moment. How are you a month into students returning to campus? And this is where I think it kind of becomes damning, and I don't want to linger on it, but if things go well early on, can you battle that sense of security, that notion of, okay, I can lax up, I can loosen up a bit? Because bottom line right now, like I said, these players have to answer this question. Can they hold themselves separate from their peers when they see everyone else going to party and going to bars and having fun? Can they? I mean, I don't know, Jordy. I don't know about you. We talked to some people. Like, I'm hearing about kids making out in bars. I'm hearing about kids dancing on bars. Like, we'll see. I know that for what it's worth, what we've heard about the LSU football team thus far in this regard has been very good, and we'll see if it can continue. But as I said, let's just deal with all that when we get there. Students returning, though, that is big news.
Verge Osbury going to stop by here in a couple of minutes and talk about what could be next for LSU as far as the scheduling is concerned, with the big announcement coming up at 2:00 today.
I mean, speaking of scheduling, dude, think about Leach and think about Leach and Kiffin in new schools. If they indeed do end up squaring up game one, this is your first year at this school. You get no warm-up. You get no tune-up. Like, this is being immediately thrown in the deep end. Oh, hey, you're this new coach that had all this positive kind of hype and momentum and everything else. Well, you got to put that all on the line in the most important game of the year for the week one. And that kind of got me thinking about other new coaches. And then you think about somebody like Eli Drinkwitz going to Mizzou. I mean, he's arguably not even that qualified for the Mizzou job to begin with. He spent 1 year at App State before he got that job, and the players at App State, when he left, were like, look, no disrespect to Coach Drinkwitz, but the culture was here before he got here. Well, now he goes to Mizzou, which is already going to be tough. Then he gets hit with this crazy offseason, which you can't have a full offseason. Then he gets hit with an SEC-only schedule, and then he figures out that added to his schedule are Alabama and LSU. I mean, brutal break for Drinkwitz. So him dealing with week one, I can't wait to see exactly how this schedule shakes out.
Did you see Pete Thamel's tweet from last week's conference call with the head coaches, and how it got a little contentious with a couple of people on the call wondering how what's the formula? How did this come up?
The formula is, if you are badass and give the conference the best chance of winning a championship, they make it easier on you. And if you are the new guy with glasses, Eli Drinkwitz, get in your locker, nerd. That's essentially what Sankey, he just bullied Mizzou.
Absolutely. This is Thamel's tweet from August 14th. This is last week. Sources: the SEC coaches' call on Thursday became contentious. At least 5 SEC coaches expressed their frustration over the lack of transparency regarding the inability to produce a formula, in quotes, for the 2 additional league opponents were chosen, and how they were chosen. I'm like T-Bob. I think it was best to worst.
Yeah.
It sounds like
exactly.
The reigning national champs. We'll send you guys back to Nashville, and we'll send Missouri to Baton Rouge. Alabama, you can go to Missouri for a week.
I mean, look, if Bama and LSU ever have similar goals, it's never going to work out for the rest of the conference. And It sounds like they could probably team up in this situation. Be like, yeah, you know what? I think we deserve a little bit of a break here.
So
And, they got it.
It's the responsibility of Verge Osbury over at LSU to schedule LSU football's both current and future schedules. We were going to, as we said last Monday, celebrate the win of adding Missouri and Vanderbilt to the current 2020 schedule. Today is a big day for his office. We will talk to him next on Off the Bench.
Let's start with LSU real quick, okay? SEC releases schedule today at 2 p.m. Feinbaum's going to have the Week 1 slate, which yes, there's a world where you do this just to hype up the schedule release. You do the Week 1 thing, even if it's just a normal Week 1, you're not putting a ton behind it, right? That said, I do think there's going to be some marquee Week 1 matchups. I think it's one of the contributing factors as to why you separate it into its own announcement. And as we said early on, there's a lot of smoke around a Week 1 Egg Bowl, Ole Miss, Mississippi State. This makes a ton of sense to me. Two schools that have a ton of storylines from the offseason with new coaches and Leach and Kiffin. It allows you to have this rivalry game be played no matter what would go on to happen later in the season. I think very importantly, now there is an idea of, okay, is this representative of all the Week 1 matchups? Like, what if you just kick things off with more of a rivalry week where you have Egg Bowl, you have the Iron Bowl, you have the world's largest, they don't call it that anymore, the world's largest outdoor cocktail party,
but they
right?
should.
What do they call it now?
The Florida-Georgia game.
Okay, well, whatever. You have the Florida-Georgia game, Week 1. I mean, LSU would probably get a break because does that mean LSU would be playing Ole Miss? I guess. No, because they'd be playing the Egg Bowl.
If you stick to rivalry week, they'd be playing A&M.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay, so you'd be playing A&M. Okay, I kind of like that. That's not bad. I don't know that they'll do that because I think not only do they want to spread out the potential viewership impact of those games a bit, but also, to me, Egg Bowl Week 1 makes sense because you're not losing anything with whoever loses, right? Like, as a conference, you want to try to protect your best teams a bit. In order that you can try to guarantee that you're going to go to the championship. Egg Bowl just feels like a fun, risk-free proposition for all involved, right? Because, like, people will watch because of the storylines, but it really won't have any eventual impact on who will go on to win or lose the conference. It's not going to hold anybody from making the playoffs. So I think they'd probably throw them Week 1. And then I think you see the same way that you saw the best teams get the schedule they wanted, I think the best teams probably get more of a ramp-up period. So I wouldn't be surprised if LSU had a Missouri or who else? They had a Missouri and Vanderbilt, right? Do you go Week 1 at Vanderbilt? I don't know. But I wouldn't be surprised if Alabama and LSU and the big dogs have more of a ramp-up period in Georgia, whereas some of the lesser schools have to play more interesting games. So this all sets up. And Danny Musso, I'd like to see if y'all have opinions on this. Who do you have an opponent that you would like to see LSU play Week 1? Let's take the Egg Bowl off the table, so no Ole Miss, Mississippi State. Do you have somebody you'd like to see them play?
I mean, I could go either way with it. I mean, I could be like, yeah, sure, let's give them the easy route. They have some stuff to work out, Miles Brennan's starting for the first time as the guy. This is his first season to actually start as the guy. Running backs, offensive line, give them a game to maybe gel a little bit more. Got some new faces on defense who played last year, but not in the big starting role. So I could see the benefit of having the ramp up, like play Vandy or Arkansas or somebody like that. But there's also the allure of maybe LSU traveling to Gainesville Week 1 or traveling to A&M Week 1 or who else do they have? I mean, playing maybe.
Have the home and away changed? I mean, I guess they will.
That's going to stay the same.
Will stay the same. You
I would
think?
imagine, yeah. Why change that?
Well, schedule making so complicated to me. There's so many moving parts. I wonder if it becomes unavoidable when you add extra teams. If maybe the home and away slate would change, and if people complain, like sure you can complain, but first off, complaining at this point where you're just trying to get games is going to fall on deaf ears. And secondly, if there's maybe not even going to be fans at games or reduced fans at games, does home matter a little less maybe than it did previously? So yeah, I don't know if home or away will change.
I'm neutral on that. I it could go
you
either
just
way.
go anyway.
I could go either way.
Well, Danny, what about you? Where's your head at?
I want to see Florida Week 1. I think that would be a great matchup, and that'd be a lot of hype. And if we could get that win out the way, and no guarantee that they'll finish off the season. That'd be amazing.
That's what they call him, Deep D Danny. He wants to go all in week 1. Florida LSU, balls to the wall, Mullen Ogeron. Look, man, I'm here for it from a viewer standpoint. From a pure LSU fan standpoint, I'm probably a little nervous about that. I think I'd be a little scared, as Musso alluded to. So many question marks that LSU has to answer. From a viewer standpoint, though, the hype, if that got announced today, the countdown to September 26th would be pretty spectacular. That said, from just a pure trying to, if I want to approach this like the Hunt Palmer mindset, right? Where Hunt's very clear, all he cares about is winning a championship. He would play 12 cupcake games if they would put you in the championship. From that point of view, I do think that I love the idea of a lesser game 1, right? To serve as a pseudo preseason type of tune-up game. Who'd they start with last year before Texas? I don't even remember.
Georgia Southern.
It was Georgia Southern. Okay, exactly. Do y'all remember how much fun it was at Georgia Southern kind of discovering like maybe what this team could be and being like, oh man, they look really sharp, right? And they got to work some of those kinks out, and then you had this excitement of, okay, there's such good week 1. Does it carry over into week 2 against Texas? Here's the first real test, and it did. But I think one of the reasons why it carried over so well was that you had that proof of concept already in the bag. They would have had success against Texas either way, I'm sure. But the link to which that success went, I think that week 1 tune-up probably helped a bit. So, yes, if I'm just being purely competitive and trying to maximize wins, losses, sure. I mean, Missouri at home, at Vanderbilt, whatever it ends up being, that would be that would be just fine. Like Arkansas, there you go. You want to go SEC West? LSU, Arkansas? Like, I mean, the real rivalry, play for the Golden Boot week 1? Did we just stumble on it? Is that the answer? You check the rivalry box. It's an easy game. You get to maintain the Golden Boot. I mean, what would college football be if a season ended without the Golden Boot being handed out? It would be disastrous. You might as well join the Big Ten and the Pac-12 and cancel the season if you don't hand the boot out. Who would you have LSU play week 1? I want to hear about it. When we get back, let's talk Pelicans, talk Gentry, talk NBA playoffs, talk Saints, talk everything New Orleans here on OTBOT.